And I believe many people would agree with me. The main reason is India, of course, with its largest population. And I think the gap with number two, that will be China, will be bigger and bigger as years go by. Not only the size of the population, but also the demographics. Composition of the population is very unique because it's very young population. Almost 2/3 of population is under 35 years old. So it creates a huge market demand, what we economists call big domestic absorption, so that you can imagine how many things you can sell as those, the younger population moves up, they move up over the years. So it's going to last. This huge demand is going to last the next 10, 20, 30 years. And number two, of course, it is providing a very stable democracy under the rule of law. So this is very important because when you invest overseas, when you're trying to do some business with in foreign countries, you need to make sure that your investment is safe, and in the future you can bring them back if you decide to leave that country. So. And many Korean companies actually had some bad experience in China. And number three, India has a good momentum going, good timing, because so many companies and foreign companies and global enterprises, they're having exodus, moving out of China for a few reasons. But we all know what is going on now. And these companies are interested in locating their production centers elsewhere. Maybe not 100% moving out of China. Perhaps they will leave some part for domestic demand in China, but definitely they will move big portion of those products they're producing to be exported into other regions. Definitely they will move those production centers and facilities out of China and locate in somewhere else. And when they consider where as an alternative site for their production outside China, India can be the prime market because not only is it a large domestic market, but also it is still located inside Asia, where it's still growing much faster than Western economies. Therefore, that's where the future growth will be in terms of global economy. Therefore, these things are really going for India. And on top of that, there is a help from a geopolitical, environment for India going, and India is becoming part of IPEF, Indo-Pacific Strategic Group and a regional group. And that is the trend, actually good trend, going for India for the next 10, 15 years. And India is going to maintain their growth for the next at least 15 years. Because right now, India's per capita GDP income is about a little more than $2,000. And probably it's going to take about 15 years to reach $10,000, the plateau. And many other countries did the same. It took about 15 years for Korea. Same thing with Taiwan, China, same thing, about 15 years. With the help of course, appreciation of their currency. But nevertheless, my point is that India can maintain its high growth of 7-8% growth rate straight for the next 15 years. So that's really good prospect for the Indian economy. And this presents great opportunities for many other companies, and especially for Korea, for Korean companies who depended on Chinese markets so heavily in the past 20 years, they should really start thinking about moving to other places. And I get a lot of inquiries from Korean medium to small size companies, many of them actually automotive, because they need to leave China. And they're really thinking entering into other Asian market and moving their facility. And also, in some cases, some Indian companies and also global companies getting directives, maybe I shouldn't say directives, but strong recommendations from Indian government. Cut down Chinese imports and change your supply chain strategy to go somewhere else. So they come and look for, can I get these supplies from Korea? So I tell them, well, it'll be too expensive for you. Maybe I can find a Korean firm operating in Vietnam, has a plant in Vietnam or Indonesia. and they can probably supply for you, not made in China. And this is sort of very strong trend now because of not very friendly relationship between China and India, especially recently. So with the trend going, I think there are many opportunities for Korean companies go in there and take those opportunities. Since we're discussing the labor force, another thing we could consider for Korean companies is to think about inviting Indian workers to Korea for some of their operations here. Already we are aware of Indian presence in, for example, like Samsung. If you go to Suwon, you will see a lot of Indian software engineers working. It's been years like that. But now we're beginning to see some imports of those labor force coming into Korea, even in service sector. I mean, for example, like a Coupang, which is quite famous company here, they have more than 100 Indian workers here in Seoul office in Chamsil. Krafton, by the way, is a game company that has a famous game, Battleground, and they're really venturing out to India. But they create their own workforce within India to develop local game. I know what they're developing because I know the team very well. But it's a great idea to work with Indian workforce, both in India but also in Korea. For example, construction companies here in the southern coast of Korea, now they're importing Indian workers, not just simple labor work, but almost like mid-level engineers, because we're really in a shortage of labor force in Korea. So that's another thing. If we develop better bilateral economic relations and business relationship, we get access to that, great workforce in India.